Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Brainstormers.
Four, episode 4.
Oh
Right.
my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was all pumped to do the intro and I
Yeah, but no,
messed it
go.
up.
Just episode 4. Start again. Start again. Who cares? Does Mario knows it's yeah.
He's laughing at me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's episode 4, guys. Anyone listening, it's episode
Okay.
4.
Okay. Okay, am I starting again?
Start
Okay,
again.
starting
Keep going. This is staying in, by the way.
Okay. Anyways, we tried to record this, last week, the week before?
Last week, yeah.
And Alex's internet is shit. Let's just
Superb.
say it like
It is so good.
because he lives in the middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
So we had such a good time. It was great. And of course, it was super choppy because the internet kept glitching and stuff. So we had to scratch it, but we have a couple of amazing blooper clips that we're gonna share for sure.
Yup.
Yes, but we want to focus on mental health and how it impacts epilepsy and just our overall journey through our diagnosis and how we've dealt with it along the way. And I know one big thing we talked about too was therapy. But to start, there's a couple things I want to jump into. But first, I feel like we should talk about how we've accepted our diagnosis and how that has kind of, brought us to a place where we are now. So, what do you think for you? How did you accept it, or have you done it, or are you still trying to navigate through it?
It's tough, man. It's like I feel like I've accepted parts of my diagnosis, but I constantly find new things where I'm just like, oh man, like it's like maybe like a new type of seizure or a new medication that I'm testing out,
Yes.
or whatever, and those kind of things like add into your diagnosis, and it's like it's something else that you have to realize that maybe you didn't come to terms with previously.
Yeah.
Um, so, like in a way, I've accepted as a whole epilepsy, but like I constantly find like I initially when I was diagnosed, like I only had one type of seizure. They were tonic-clonics
Mhm.
or grand
Mhm.
mals,
Yeah.
and had those just that for several years and didn't know anything else aside from that. And then I started having other types of seizures, and it was kind of as I went along, it was like, shit, like I gotta like figure out and understand what this is because it was all confusing to me. And
Yeah.
like I don't know. And then obviously when you're just like prescribed new medications, the
Yes.
side effects as a whole are just
Yes.
that in itself is something. So I'm accepting it, but I'm
It's like that weird in between part where you're like, I've accepted it, like this is like part of my life.
mhm,
But at the same time, it's like, like why is this happening to me? Like, why is this for? Like, why has epilepsy chosen me? What?
mhm,
Like, just a whole bunch of questions. Yeah, I totally understand because, yeah, obviously, I was in that situation too. It's like I started off with tonic-clonics,
yeah,
and then or no, sorry, it was absence seizures that I
absence.
started.
Yep.
Yeah, or petite mals, whatever you guys wanna call them, and then it was tonic-clonic, but I feel like once I had my first tonic-clonic, it was kinda, like, eye-opening, but I was still, like, a teenager and drinking and in college and having fun, so I was like, "Okay, that's the only one I'm gonna have, it's not gonna happen again."
Mhm.
And I just from there, I feel like I still didn't accept it until, like, recently. Recently, as I opened up the last couple years with through Epilepsy Canada and through meeting you and like this whole community, I feel like I'm at a place in my life where I'm like I've accepted it. But also like through my past little I don't know month or so, I have experienced a new type of seizure. So that kind of like is a step back I feel like for me because I'm like I'm 31 years old and I'm experiencing this so I'm like at a whole new stage of my life
Yeah.
where I feel like I'm kinda, like, approaching it differently as I would, like, 19-year-old as I was 19 years old, having a tonic-clonic. So, it's just weird, like, it's I want to have like validation that I am having the seizure and I'm not just going crazy. But then when I do have the validation that, like, yes, after my EEG, like, yes, we have seen some seizure activity, it's still hard to hear. Like, it's like, oh, okay, like,
Most
I
definitely.
guess.
And especially
Yeah.
when it's a new seizure type too, like again, like you have to do like all this like research trying to figure out what it is and like, okay, I've never
Yes.
had these symptoms before, but like what's going on
Yes.
with my body? Like and so many types of seizures, like they manifest in so many different ways. And a lot of people are only really familiar with maybe if they're not familiar with epilepsy entirely, they would probably at least recognize a tonic-clonic or a grand mal.
Right.
But like absent seizures or petit mals, myoclonic seizures, like there's so many things that look infinitely different, and you
Yes.
don't even realize that this person is maybe even having a seizure, but they are, and
Yeah, exactly.
it's
So
just it's hard,
it's
man. Like,
weird. Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, you're going through a hard journey with your mental health too, on top of like
oh yeah,
trying to navigate through your epilepsy, figuring out what kind of seizures you're having, like what does it mean? What is it doing to your body? The medications, like you said, I don't know. That's like a whole big topic. I don't know how many medications I've been on and I've been a
yeah,
guinea pig, and it's just like I'm finally at a place where it's like manageable.
hmm
But again, that was a huge part of depression for me because like I was like, okay, now my body has to go on this med. Oh, is it gonna what's it gonna do? Oh, it's this isn't normal, and oh, let's try this med. And it's just, yeah, like here we go, let's try this. And it's tough. Like I feel like everybody who goes through this, or even not even epilepsy, just having a chronic illness, maybe in general, who go through that med journey, they can like listen to this and be like, yes, like, yes, I get it. All those med changes, all those symptoms you go through definitely plays a factor in your mental health.
it's so hard, man. Like, and I'm sure a lot of people who um, live with, as you mentioned, like not even necessarily just epilepsy, but another chronic illness or condition of some kind. Um, I can really only speak on behalf of some of the medications that and how they've affected me.
Hmm.
But some neurological medication, they really do take a toll on your body,
Yeah.
and like it almost comes to like we had this Vanessa and I, for those listening, Vanessa and I had this group chat that we were part of maybe what 2 weeks ago, and now I guess somewhere around there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And someone actually brought up a really good point that I hadn't even thought of until then. And someone had said the side effects to your medication and what you have to deal with your medication is almost like an entirely different diagnosis because of all of the symptoms that kind of come with it. So, like
Yes.
you deal with the symptoms of your seizures and epilepsy, but then you have like the grogginess and the fatigue and the all this kind of stuff from your medication, and it's like sometimes it's confusing as to pinpoint like, okay, what's coming from what? Like,
Yes.
is this from my
100%.
seizures or is this coming from my medication or like, so it's
Yes.
hard. It's very difficult to kind of process all of that.
Yeah. 100%. It's yeah, I actually since you brought that up, I forgot about that being brought up in our group, but that
Mhm.
kinda leads back to, brain fog as a
Oh
as a symptom. Just,
yeah,
"Oh, we forget. Oh, right. You told me that, but I forgot." But, oh,
like
that's right.
yeah, brain fog. Like my memory is just hot garbage on the best of days. Like it's so
Right?
bad. Like
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, "How did I even remember to take my meds?" I mean, sometimes I
yes,
don't, obviously, but,
yep,
like,
yep.
sometimes it's just like, "Oh, right." Like, I do this every day, but
Oh yeah,
I still manage to forget some days.
yeah. The amount of times like that
It's
you walk into a room and like forget why you came in there to
yeah.
begin with, and then you leave and you like try to like retrace your steps, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, it's not going to come back to me. But then like maybe 6 hours later, it's like, oh yeah, that's what it was. Like yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I feel like too, like there's some monumental moments for us. I mean, for me too, but maybe for you as well, for like accepting your
Hmm.
diagnosis. So like, yeah, on a more positive note for us, like, for me at least, there was definitely a monumental moment when I connected with Epilepsy Canada
Mhm,
when I was going through a really hard time with my epilepsy, and looking back, it's like that wasn't even that long ago, to be honest. That was maybe like 3 years ago that I connected with Epilepsy Canada and started to, like, branch out and chat with you and just other people
mhm,
I've chatted with on, Instagram, and I feel like the more people I talk to and even well, the more things I shared, I feel like that's when I gravitated towards a community, and that's when I started reaching out to people and people reached out to me, and it just made me feel less alone because 'cause I'm like, "Man, like, yeah, I'm going through this and it sucks, but, like, I'm not the only one." So, me sharing this very vulnerable post,
yeah,
not only like is, kind of scary, but it leads to like so many other people that I can talk to and relate to and just battle together. Like it's
exactly,
just I feel like a broken record because I feel like I've said that so many times, but I feel like nobody gets it until you get it. Like you
mhm,
go through things alone without even realizing that it's like you come to a point where it's like I can't do this by myself anymore. Like my husband may not understand, like, people through Instagram that I met, like, understand, because they go through it the same as we do, right? So
exactly. It's just different, like,
yeah.
it's not to take anything away whatsoever from the people who
Mhm.
are our caregivers or
Yeah.
are very close family and friends or, whoever. It's just living with whatever condition it may be, doesn't have to be epilepsy, but in this case it is that we're talking about. It's very hard to completely empathize with someone unless you're actually dealing with it. Like
Yes.
it's very like you can connect all you want, and be emotionally there, supportive, everything else.
Mhm.
But it's you might not entirely understand what it's like when you text me and you're saying, "Oh, like I'm having an off day," like immediately, like
Mhm.
I know, like okay, yeah, like
Yes.
I get it, like
I know, and, like, even so, though, I'm gonna be totally honest, sometimes I'm like, I hate saying that, like, I hate admitting that I'm having a bad day sometimes too, but I'm like,
yeah,
at the same time, I know, like, Alex gonna understand, and I know
yeah,
he's gonna get it because, like, he's been there. We all
yeah,
been like, yeah, we go through it all the time. So it's
yeah.
like, I have a headache or I can't chat tonight or whatever. You okay if we reschedule? And it's like, don't even worry about it. It's like that. The validation is just, it makes it so much easier,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. I think, and
Yeah.
going back to what you'd mentioned, like obviously like monumental moments.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like it's like, and it's true, like because that is a huge part, in my opinion, as far as like kind of um, accepting your diagnosis, or at least kind of accepting part of your diagnosis, or your journey thus far.
Yeah.
For me, the first part, because I suppressed everything to do with epilepsy for years. I hated
Yeah.
the fact that I had epilepsy because one, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anybody who had seizures, so I couldn't connect
Yes.
with them. So I was kind of like just in the dark about everything. But I
Yeah.
also didn't want to stop like hanging out with my friends and staying up late and drinking and going to parties and playing competitive hockey and this and that. Like
Yes.
it was a lot of stuff that like I didn't want to change. I wanted to kind of just, but then you have to like realize, okay, like you're only hurting yourself if you suppress things. Like you're only like you
Exactly.
really have to kind of come to terms with it. And I didn't. One of the things that was an ultimate goal for me in my life, I always wanted to be a dad. That was kind of
Yeah.
like, to me, it was like the absolute pinnacle, like nothing could beat being a dad.
Yeah.
And I always, that was it. Um, and for years, my wife and I, admittedly, it was obviously more on my side where I was just like, you know what, I don't think, because my seizures were uncontrolled, I didn't think I could just be the type of father that I really want it to be, like that
Mhm.
hands-on, like, I really want, like, just make sure that I was there all the time,
Yeah.
and obviously with seizures being uncontrolled, it just became a struggle, and it was just like I was kind of getting to a point in a relationship, in our marriage, and in my life where I was just like, "Okay, well, I can't let epilepsy control what I'm gonna do from now on."
Yes.
So then we had countless conversations, my wife and and I finally kind of came to terms with it. And that was hugely monumental to me because it was kind of like, you know what, pardon my French here, but like, fuck epilepsy. Like
Yes.
I'm ready to kind of like just move on. I
Yep.
need to kind of start to want to like achieve and like strive for things that I want in my life. And that
Definitely.
main one was being a dad. So it was
Oh, I
kind of,
love that.
and ever since then it was just, and you'll, I'm sure if anyone listening follows Great British Epilepsy, like my wife and I post a lot of stuff on there through Instagram and Facebook and whatnot. But a lot of it has to do with our kids because I guess just
Yes.
being a dad, an epileptic dad, is difficult. It's hard, but
Yes.
man, it
Yes.
is
I
the
love
most
that for
rewarding
you.
thing. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I love that for you so much. Like, they have such a great dad to look up to, honestly, and, like, even, like,
Thank
seeing
you.
you go through yeah, no, seriously, like, I really mean that. It hits different when it comes to, like, parents with chronic illness, parents with
Mhm.
like, a parent with epilepsy. It's like, you see a different side of them, and as like a younger version of like a mini you, it's like you want to like educate them too and like
Yeah,
and show them like, this is a part of me, but at the same time, like I want to be open and transparent, and especially like with my niece and nephew too. I chatted about this actually on my Instagram.
mhm,
I posted something about it and I just was like, a long time ago my niece witnessed me have a tonic-clonic, and it was the worst moment I could ever possibly imagine. Like, that was the last thing I wanted her to see me like, but ever since then, it was kinda like just open conversation about, what is it, what's epilepsy, and all that stuff, like, why did you have a seizure, and stuff like that, and ever since then, and as they gotten older, they've been just so supportive, and they, like, take pride in, like,
I love that.
supporting it, and, like, wear purple on Purple Day, and, like, wearing the
Yeah,
ribbon,
yeah,
and it's just, like, nobody at school knew, and it's like, they were the only ones wearing purple, like, they were happy about them being the ones to, like, educate
they're
people, like,
proud. They're just
yeah,
proud.
exactly, like,
Oh,
my
that's
nephew
so
said, "My
cool.
teacher didn't even know," and I'm like, "Oh, well, look at that, you got to teach your teacher something today."
Oh, that's
And,
so cool.
I know, I just think it's amazing, like, just from kids' perspectives too, though, like, it's just it hits different, and, um, yeah, like, just another part like you said, getting back to, like, monumental moments of you becoming a dad, not letting epilepsy take over your life in that way, you still wanna strive for, like, what you want in life,
Yes.
um, but also, like, when we go through mental health too, for me at least, I like there's still certain things that I have to like turn to cope with. And I think it was about in the fall, maybe last year, I started going to therapy. And I mean, there was lots of other things that I needed to go to therapy about too, but obviously
Mm,
my epilepsy and my health is a priority. It's
yeah,
number 1.
yeah.
And there's things that I went and talked about with my therapist, and I just kind of connected the dots with some conversation we had, and I was like, "Oh, that could relate to my epilepsy. Oh, that's my epilepsy." Certain situations that I was talking about or whatever, and there's just some days where we just talk about how am I feeling, like how are you doing with your meds, with your days, like what's how do you feel, so it's so helpful having that open conversation, and even we said this too, like even our podcasts feel very therapeutic too,
Yes. Oh my
like
gosh.
yeah.
Like I'll just like it's like this here, and I was gonna add to that. Like that was another monumental thing for me for accepting it,
Yes.
was like
Yes.
literally starting Brainstormers to me. And I know obviously we're episode 4, technically 3 for Vanessa, whatever, but um
Okay.
but no, the whole thing, and Vanessa and I, we've known each other for a while, and obviously we've talked numerous times before Brainstormers became a thing. But opening up and talking in this dialogue, um, and strictly about kind of epilepsy and our like and the things that kind of the umbrella that is epilepsy,
Yeah,
um, has been so therapeutic. It does feel like I'm
I
kind
agree.
of going through sessions, and like it's almost like a sense of relief
Yes.
and like weight off
Yes.
your shoulders. And so this was huge for me and huge for my own mental health. So
Yeah, me too. And I feel like people who are listening, I hope this is what we strive for. Like we want you guys to feel like a sense of therapy and therapeutic while you listen or watch
mhm.
and just hopefully like relate. And that's what we strive for and that's our goal. And we also like to have fun too and we like to
Obviously,
laugh.
yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. We love to joke. I can't wait to like just have some bloopers come out there. But yeah, so therapy is definitely an amazing outlet to have through like mental health, anxiety, 100% the anxiety part.
Mhm.
And you mentioned journaling, right? Like, and yeah, tell me a little bit more about
Yes.
that because I have never done that and I feel like I need to do that.
Honestly, so that part was actually recommended. So I started therapy. I've been to I did therapy when I was trying to blank. I think it was either 18 or 19.
Hmm.
And then that was only for a brief period. And then I did therapy starting January 5th of last year, and saw my therapist every single week for several months. And it was great. And same as you, like I was seeing my therapist not just for epilepsy, but for other reasons as well too, for
Yeah.
mental health and for a lot of stuff. But it was so interesting, and he gave me like like advice that I didn't even know I was looking for,
Right.
and it was
Yes.
just like holy shit, like it's like how do you
Yeah.
know me better than I do? Like what's
Exactly.
going on here? Like,
Yes.
but
100%.
that was one of the things he did recommend, was starting to journal. And I mean, I'd never done it in my life. I didn't know what I was going to gain from it. A year and a half later, roughly, um, I I've journaled every single day since I started January 5th.
Wow.
And it's one of those things where like I don't like you can do prompted journals, you can find apps for them, you can write them out if you want to. It's totally whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It's your own prerogative, but for me, like I've used various apps and do everything through my phone just as a constant reminder.
Hmm.
Um, but a lot of the times, like it's just even like writing about like what are you doing today? Like how are you feeling? Like it
Yes.
can be good, it can be bad. It doesn't have to be like a therapeutic journal all the time. Like it
Right.
can be just like what's happening. Like are you hanging out
Just
with your friends? And
reflecting. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yes.
I think for me, I started to realize that it was not only journaling to better my mental health, but it was also like very fun to look back at, because obviously with living with epilepsy, my memory is not nearly as good
Oh,
as
yeah.
a lot of other people. So I can
Yeah,
like
for
look
sure.
back at stuff and I'm like, oh wow, like a year ago, like on this date, like we did this, or like 6 months ago, this was a thing. Like it was
That's
really kind of,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
That's
stuff, and I would highly recommend journaling to anyone. Really, like it's just if you have,
well, yeah, you've definitely inspired me too
there
because
you go.
yeah. Well, like you said, like looking back, like you know the exact date you started, you can look back on like a year ago from now or
Mhm.
and be like, "Oh, I was doing this on that day." Like I have no idea what I did on April whatever day it is, like last year. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So it's just, it'd be so neat to look back and be like, oh, okay, I was feeling like this because, oh, maybe the day before I was,
Yep.
tired or whatever. So definitely I want to start. That is definitely a goal.
Hmm.
But I mentioned this to my husband, and I think to you too, I need to be like handwritten. Like I
You
can't
did
do
tell me
it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because 'cause I'm like, okay, as much as I'm on my phone and I use it all the time,
Hmm.
obviously, like, it's different. Like, I feel like I express more when I'm writing.
When you're writing. Yeah.
Yes, so I could do that forever. So I I have to choose my words wisely so I don't fill up the whole book, like, with
Yeah.
3 days or 1 week or whatever. But yeah, so I'm definitely gonna start, and like you said, I feel like it's another great resource and,
It's yeah,
something to use, resource to use ththrough your mental health.
100%. Like it's and I think the biggest thing too, we've talked about it numerous times, and being both of us have been open through our social media platforms just about um therapy and kind of
Mhm.
seeking help when you need it. And
Yeah.
that's something that for years and years and years, and even still today, a lot of people see that as like a sign of weakness when you are
Yes.
trying to seek help. And you
Yes.
say like, you know what, like I need to talk to someone. Like
Mhm.
I'm not
Mhm.
doing okay. And unfortunately, um, some of you listening who suffer from epilepsy, or maybe who though maybe some of you might not know, but like it's the stats don't lie. It's roughly 1 in 3 people with epilepsy also suffer from mental health
That's crazy.
conditions. So I
Yeah.
mean, even if you break that down throughout the number of people in the world, it's like it's unbelievable. There's 65
Yes.
million people in the world with epilepsy. You could do the math. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's
I
crazy.
won't, but
Yeah.
I won't I won't
Tw-
do the math.
20 some odd million people. It's crazy. And
That is
that's
no, it's crazy to think about because it's like so many people are suffering, and it's like all we wanna do is, like, just make sure that people get the help they need
yeah.
and have the best care, and, like, whether that's, like, going to see a therapist or connecting with people on social media, like,
Hmm.
anything. So and now actually, now that we're talking about this openly, I feel like, again, one of my monumental moments or like even a therapeutic moment for me was starting me and my brainwaves, because that was kind of like my sense of therapy. I feel like because it was during the pandemic, obviously that was a super hard time for all
For
of us.
everybody. Yeah.
um and for everybody, and like how it is, like you couldn't see anybody, you couldn't go anywhere, and it's like I was stuck. I couldn't do anything, I couldn't talk to anybody. And that's where I was like, I'm gonna try and see if I could find people on social media.
Hmm.
And holy shit, like I didn't realize how amazing it would be and how many people I would connect with. And definitely it acted as therapy for me during that time, for sure. And I like you said too, I went when I was younger as well, and just like on and off throughout all my life really. But social media has definitely helped during the hard times when there wasn't anything accessible at that time. And then once, things started to fall into place. We moved, like we're here in our new home now, and now we're kind of settled, and like I can find somebody, a therapist that I like, and we have a great connection. I love her so much. I feel like she's kind of my mom in some ways. Like I'm like, oh, I just want to like come and visit you and have like a cup of coffee or something.
Yeah.
Like we don't even need to talk
Yeah.
about anything.
Yeah.
Like let's just hang out. Let's just be friends.
See, that is the absolute best. If you can find like not only like a therapist, but but anyone on your um medical team. So if it's your family doctor, if it is a therapist, if
Hmm.
it's a neurologist, an epileptologist, whatever you have who's caring for you, if you can find someone that you connect with in that level,
Yeah.
I promise it means it just it makes a world of difference in your own
Yes.
therapy, in your own healing and everything, because
For sure.
they're truly genuine. They like it's again, and it makes you feel. And I have the same experience with my therapist. It's just
Yeah,
like no judgment, just wants to talk. And I'm
exactly.
just like, I just want to hang out with you.
I know, I
Let's go
know,
watch a
it's
hockey game together. Like
exactly
let's just
right?
yeah, like
I know,
yeah,
let's go
like
on a man date.
yeah, right? Like come on. Like
Out of office hours.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like it's just it's crazy to look back and just reflect on those moments about how, what's monumental, what we went through our epilepsy with, and like how that affected our mental health. And not gonna lie, it still does. Like
Oh yeah.
I posted something the other day of me like literally just bawling my eyes out, and it was like I
I
was
have to
so
admit
nervous.
that broke my heart when I watched that. That
Oh,
like
I was so nervous to throw it on social media. I was like, but it was during the pandemic when my
mhm.
epilepsy was super bad, and I have like numerous of videos of me like filming myself during the hard parts of like journaling and like video journaling. That's what I was
Yeah,
starting to do, and I found that I'm like, oh my god, like just it breaks my heart watching myself go through that. But then I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm here to be as vulnerable as I can. That's why I want to connect and make people feel like they're not alone. And I'm going to post it. Fuck it. So I posted it, and I didn't realize how many people were going to reach out to me or were going to like comment. Like, it
yeah.
was like my heart felt so full, but I couldn't, like, I posted it and then I couldn't watch it for the rest of the day. Like, I had to just
I remember you saying
leave the
that to me. Like
notification. Yeah,
you
I just
just
had to.
couldn't. Yeah.
Yes, because I was like, it's still gonna like be so tough to watch, and then seeing people's reactions, like, but I had to just reply to everybody the next day because I was like, the overwhelming love I got was amazing, but I was like, I just need to take like a break from watching that because I watched it so many times because I'm like, what do I do? Do I post it? Do I not? But I think being vulnerable is like one of the hardest parts about going through epilepsy too. But at the same time, it's like that I'm here to do that because I want to connect with so many people and I
Yeah.
want to be there, and like people who are going through the same things with their mental health. Like, it's just, yeah, I could go on and on,
You know
I
what?
could go
Like
on and
it's
on about that.
but you mentioned it though, like as far as like a monumental thing, like creating me and my brainwaves, just being a big part of your own kind of accepting of your diagnosis and your own therapy
Yes.
and everything. That in
Hmm.
itself, and same thing, like obviously like when my wife and I when we started Graeber's epilepsy and that started to develop and partnered with Epilepsy Canada and all that stuff.
Hmm.
It was
Yeah.
all a
Yeah.
huge thing, and but you don't even realize, like, I think I've talked to you about it before, like, when I started, Graeber's epilepsy, I was literally thinking, like, "Okay, like, sweet, it's gonna be, like, my, like, family that's gonna, like my
Right.
stuff. I don't know any of these people, no one's gonna reach out to me, no one's gonna, like." And
Yeah.
then it just, it's like the floodgates, like, open, and, like, people are just like, "Wow, this is someone who's also, like, going through what I'm going through," or
Yes.
whatever,
Yes.
and you actually like, I wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for
I
our
know.
community,
I
and,
know. Yes.
we both have, like, these amazing connections with, like, the epilepsy community. Some people on there are just some of the most caring and genuine people, that I've ever met, and they've made a huge difference, in, I guess, not necessarily accepting my diagnosis, but just knowing that I can relate to people. There
For
are
sure.
it's like it helps with your mental health. It just like there are people that are like, "Oh, okay, you know what? I'm feeling this way today, or I've just suffered this, and this is what happens to me." And it's just like, shit, like I'm not in the dark about this.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
but
Like, I'm not alone.
no, like,
Sense of
what?
relief where it's like, we're in this
Yes.
together. Yes. Yes, exactly.
Like
Yeah.
when you and I were both like first diagnosed, like none of this stuff existed. So like,
Right?
who are
Yeah.
you to turn to? Like the
Nobody. I feel like, was there even like support groups back then? I mean, there was nothing
it would have
like
been
I
like
didn't.
in person, I'm sure, but
Yes.
like nothing to the point where it is now, where it's like, hey, like so and so is online right now, like, and they're posting about this or they have whatever.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you can quickly like whip on to like someone's like Instagram live who's talking about this and this or
yes.
whatever, or even like podcasts or whatever. There's so much of it now. And
Brainstormers,
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 not
brainstormers.
the number one podcast for epilepsy.
Tell
Um,
your friends.
yeah, all of
Subscribe,
them,
like.
all of them. Yep. But it's amazing because you can find things that hopefully relate to you and make your that navigation of epilepsy a little bit easier. So,
Yes. Literally, our name is Brainstormers, navigating epilepsy together. So if that doesn't
oh,
say something,
I didn't even plan that.
that
There you go.
doesn't
I
say
didn't even
something,
plan
then
that. I'm not smart enough to plan that.
you forgot. You have brain fog. You
Yeah,
didn't even
exactly.
realize.
I did.
But we also want to like make sure that you guys know that if you have any questions or topics and you want to hear something specific on an episode, don't hesitate to reach out. We have an email, we have an Instagram, Brainstormers Podcast. There's always going to be like somebody to contact you back. And yeah, we're just super pumped. We're so excited. Thanks again for everybody who's listening and for watching and subscribing. And I have to say it, like my nephew said, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. I had to say it. He's going to be so pumped.
Yeah,
Shout
again,
out.
like
Yeah.
as Vanessa said, like this literally means the world to us. Like just brainstormers and getting our stories out there. I can't. I've said it each episode, but it truly does. It's made a world of difference for. I think I can speak on your behalf too, but it's made a world of difference for
Yes.
both of us. So yeah, like if you are obviously enjoying the content so far, please comment, hit the like button, subscribe, join us on this journey because we have so much more in the pipeline. Tons of people that we have kind of lined up to interview, plenty more
Yes.
topics, everything else. But anyways, just
And let's just point out that these balloons have almost been a month, has lasted almost a month. So let's see, this is like what the first episode they've made an appearance. So let's see how long they last.
yeah,
Winner gets a prize. Winner gets some Brainstormers merch
yeah,
if they can guess how long these will last
yeah,
throughout our episodes. Only if you subscribe and like
yeah.
and comment.
Okay, and we are
Out.